Hey everybody, it's Jae Burnham and this is the Real Jae Burnham Show. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Real Jae Burnham Show. So today I want to discuss to you something that has came up, the difference between and the pros and cons between employed workers and contractor workers. All right, so what is best? Well, that is a question you're going to have to answer for yourself. But for me, I use subcontracted workers. I put my guys on 1099. I pay them once a week, and I give them a schedule, tell them when they're supposed to be here, and I go from there. But you got to be careful on the 1099 because if they're only employed by you, if they're only working for you and they don't have some sort of other income, the IRS can come and say, actually, they're employees and now you owe us for all these taxes. So when you're doing 1099, you got to make sure that you're being safe and smart about this, and you're hiring guys and making sure that they have enough time to go and get some other kind of work, and they should be doing and get some other sort of income so that they're not, quote unquote, and I'm putting in air quotes, they're not official employees. All right. So the pros and cons. Well, the pros and cons of hiring a regular employee on a 9 to 5 type of hourly thing is, one, you've got somebody that's employed. He comes in, you give him a schedule, comes in, rocks and rolls, and that's great. You know, they come in, they hire in, they do whatever they do. They're an employee. The cons against that is they're all your responsibility at that point as well. They're hiring and firing, it's at will. You know, it's there that you, if they damage something or steal something, there's no recourse for it. It's all on you. You know, so all you can do is, you know, fire them and then maybe call the cops if you're lucky, if their cops will do anything about it. And then, you know, then you got all your insurances that you've got to have on them. You've got to have workman's comp. You're going to have Social Security and all that good stuff for them, right? There's a lot to be said, and you definitely, you know, if you get up to the point of making enough money and affording it, of course, I think at that point you need to be making like a good half mil or more a year to be able to afford to put people on a payroll, at least the workers. Maybe you could put people on payroll for your office workers. That's fine, because that's a little different. You could do it at, you know, you could do it at a part-time basis for your office worker, someone who comes in and handles your books for a couple $100 a month, a week, or something like that. That's a different story. But for your workers, I think you should wait until you're like at least got about a $500,000. The pros and cons of 1099, they're not employees, and so they can come and go as they want. You know, they could take the job or not take the job. You can't. They're not really, quote unquote, hired. You know, so if they decide not to show up, you can't really fire them. You know, there's nothing you can do. They're basically self-employed, so they can do the job or not do the job. You can choose not to use them any longer, but you can't really fire them. All right. So they're really not under your control. The plus points, though, is you could put it inside their contract that they're in charge. You know, any loss or damage, you can make them responsible for. You can put that in contract. You can deduct from their fees any kind of damage or loss legally if it's in the contract. So if they, you know, you're finding out that you got some guy that's got sticky fingers, you can put it in their thing, and there's nothing that they can do about it. As long as it's in the working agreement that you guys have set up. That said, you do have to have a working agreement. I think you should have a working agreement for your 1099s, and if you get up to the point of hiring, you should have a working agreement for that as well. That's in writing, that follows the particular employment laws. Either way, you got to protect your butt. You got to have some sort of written agreement. You should have some sort of damage policy, theft policies, so on, so that they have to abide by and sign up for. And just make sure that, you know, if you don't have an attorney friend, you know, it's probably worth a good $100 to couple hundred, $300 or whatever it is for an attorney to draw up some papers for you, so that you're legal, and you can just have them do it, and you can make up copies of those contracts and just have them sign the contract or a work agreement or whatever you want to call it. Well worth it, because if then they don't follow what they have agreed to, then you know you can refuse to hire them or pay them for their thing. So there's good and there's bad. The bad is, if you're using these guys like employees, then you could be hit for them not paying their taxes. Good on employees, if you are, the employees, if they're being employees, they should be treated as employees and have the status of an employee. A lot of them like the idea that taxes get taken out of their pay and they don't have to see it, and it just goes, and they get a return at the end of the year. Some guys don't like it. They'd rather just do the 1099, and they'll do their own reporting however they see fit. And and that's fine. That's on them, and they can do whatever they want. However, never ever ever hire somebody under the table. That's just too risky, and you just don't want to be involved. Your reputation can get harmed really fast. People, they know where other people live, or they know where you live, they know your schedule, they know it's too risky. Don't do it. When you have a 1099 or an employee, you get their address, who, they get a contact, a working, in a case of emergency contact, so you got these different contacts, and you can make them, if things go wrong, you've got something to back you up and to cover your butt. All right, just a little video about that. I know some people had some questions. Me, I personally use 1099. Like I said, I think you should wait till about 500,000. I think that's when you're going to have the money to be able to put, several people on the payroll as far as the movers go. Up until that point, you're really pretty struggling. And I speak from experience, doing only about 300K a year. I'm getting to that point where I could start to see that, but for me, when I ran my figures, it was about the 500,000 mark. All right, guys. So that was a real quick video today. Hope it was good for you. Hope it answered some questions. Hopefully you guys get a good idea what to want to do from here. I don't know what you guys do, but if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Love to hear from you. Leave me some comments below in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, or a thumbs down if you hated it. It doesn't matter. I love haters too. And also, make sure you share this with all your family and friends. And of course, please subscribe to my wonderful channel. All right, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.